Syrian opposition forces have made a significant breakthrough, capturing much of Aleppo, the country's second-largest city, in a lightning offensive that marks their most significant advance since the government reclaimed the city in 2016. This surprise attack by a coalition of rebel groups has reignited a conflict that had been relatively dormant for years. The rebels launched their assault earlier this week, swiftly moving eastward through villages on Aleppo's outskirts before penetrating the city. This advance has dealt a major blow to President Bashar al-Assad's forces, who have been forced to retreat from key positions. The Syrian army has described the rebel fighters as terrorists and stated that it has implemented a redeployment operation while preparing reinforcements for a counteroffensive. Rebels have been seen celebrating at key locations in Aleppo, including the city's central square and its historic citadel. In one video, armed fighters wave the opposition flag, chanting, "God is great," as they claim control. Another clip shows them at the city's airport, approximately 4.5 miles east of the center. Videos verified by CNN confirm rebel presence inside the airport's main terminal. However, northeastern Aleppo remains under the control of government forces and their Iranian militia allies. In a bid to secure the city, the rebels have imposed a 24-hour curfew starting Saturday evening, citing concerns for residents' safety and the protection of property. The rapid advance reportedly met little resistance from Assad's forces, with residents in Aleppo describing minimal urban combat. In response to the rebel gains, the Russian Air Force has launched aerial strikes targeting opposition fighters in Aleppo and Idlib provinces. Russian and Syrian warplanes have bombarded alleged terrorist gatherings, movements, and supply lines. Local activists and journalists report at least 10 airstrikes by Russian forces in the countryside since Wednesday. Additional Syrian airstrikes near central Aleppo's al-Basel roundabout on Saturday caused multiple casualties, although the extent of the damage remains unclear. Kurdish forces, notably the YPG militia, have also expanded their territory in Aleppo during this chaos. Previously controlling 2 Kurdish neighborhoods, they have now taken areas formerly held by the Syrian regime. However, tensions between the Kurdish militia and the rebel coalition are rising, with reports of clashes inside the city. A faction within the rebel alliance has already announced plans to target Kurdish-held areas in northern Aleppo province. Aleppo's loss is a significant setback for Assad's government. Once Syria's largest city and economic hub, Aleppo has deep historical and cultural significance, being one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. Its capture by rebels not only restores their strategic foothold, but also ends their isolation in Idlib province, potentially leading to a domino effect across the region. The rebel coalition, formed just days before the offensive, claims their actions are in retaliation against escalating attacks by Assad's forces and Iranian militias. The timing of their attack is notable, with Syria's allies, Russia and Iran, facing distractions elsewhere. Russia is heavily focused on its war in Ukraine, while Iran is dealing with escalating Israeli strikes against its proxy network. This offensive marks the most significant escalation in years between Syrian opposition forces and Assad's regime. Syria's civil war began during the Arab Spring in 2011, when a pro-democracy uprising was violently suppressed. This led to the formation of the Free Syrian Army and plunged the nation into a devastating conflict. Although a 2020 ceasefire largely reduced fighting, sporadic clashes have continued. Over a decade of war has resulted in more than 300,000 civilian deaths and displaced millions across the region, according to the United Nations.